Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we will learn useful expressions we can use when we want to pay for our meal at the restaurant. Let's begin with the model dialogue, and afterwards we will explain all the expressions in detail. Can we get the bill, please? Yes, I'll bring it over. Here's the bill. Is the service charge included? No, it's not. First, as a customer, to find out how much you have to pay for your meal, you can say this. Can we get the bill, please? Can we get the bill, please? As we learned in an earlier lesson, we use the structure can we get to make a request to get something. And the request in this question is to get the bill. Bill is a statement that tells us how much we have to pay for certain goods or service. And in nearly all restaurants in the UK, when you want to pay for your meal, you have to first ask for the bill from the server to find out how much you have to pay, and then you pay for the meal. In the US, instead of bill, the word check is also commonly used. At the end of this question, we add please to make this question more polite. Okay, so let's now do a speaking practice of this question. Can we get the bill, please? Can we get the bill, please? Great job, well done. Let's take a look at the server's response. Yes, I'll bring it over. Here's the bill. Yes, I'll bring it over. Here's the bill. First, the server will answer our question by saying yes, and then say, I'll bring it over. And in this phrase, it refers to the bill. The phrasal verb bring over means to take someone or something from one place to another. When we use this phrasal verb, the object can be positioned after the phrasal verb or between the verb and the preposition over. So we can say bring over the bill or bring the bill over. However, if the object of the phrasal verb is a pronoun, such as it or him, then it has to be positioned between the verb and the preposition. So we cannot say bring over it, we have to say bring it over. Also, as we learned in one of our earlier lessons, when we hand over something to someone, we can say here's and then say what we are handing over, which in this case is the bill. Lastly, although these two parts are said together in one line, in real situations, there is likely to be some time gap between these two parts. Okay, so with all that in mind, let's now do a speaking practice of this sentence. Yes, I'll bring it over. Here's the bill. Yes, I'll bring it over. Here's the bill. That was great, well done. Now, in nearly all restaurants in the UK, it's important that you add a tip on the amount you have to pay. And this is usually somewhere between 10 and 15% of the total amount. This tip is often referred to as service charge. In some restaurants, this service charge is automatically added to the bill, and this should be indicated on the bill. However, there are times when it's not clear whether the service charge has been added to the bill's total amount. In these situations, you can ask this question. Is the service charge included? Is the service charge included? In this question, the adjective included means that something is part of another thing. So this question is asking if the service charge is part of the total bill. And if it is, then we wouldn't add extra tip on the total amount. Let's practice asking this question. Is the service charge included? Is the service charge included? That was great, well done. Lastly, to say that the service charge is not included, the server said this. No, it's not. No, it's not. In this sentence, it refers to the service charge. And if the service charge was included, the server would say, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let's practice both of these sentences. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Excellent job, well done. Let's listen to the whole dialogue again. Can we get the bill, please? Yes, I'll bring it over. Here's the bill. Is the service charge included? No, it's not. Okay, so let's now do a speaking practice of the whole dialogue. As always, we will do 2 speaking practices and all the lines will be on the screen. So when it's your turn, please read the lines and participate in the dialogue. Let's begin. Can we get the bill, please? Is the service charge included? Yes, I'll bring it over. Here's the bill. No, it's not. Fantastic efforts, well done. Okay, so in this lesson, we learned useful expressions we can use when we want to pay for our meal at the restaurant. The next lesson is the speaking drill lesson, and I will see you soon again in the lesson after that. Bye bye.